Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's IPIFF workshop. Today, we are looking at investing in Europe's agri-future, EU funding opportunities for the insect farming sector. The market for insect-derived produce for food and feed and frass is growing. New investment is accelerating, and the sector itself has a unique role to play in generating new economic opportunities, connecting both existing agri-food chains and even creating new segments of the market. Today, we're going to learn more about the different EU funding and financial support mechanisms for small and medium-sized enterprises. Today's event has been organised in partnership with the Insect Academy and Intersect, a marketing agency dedicated to helping insect companies. And the event is also being supported by our sponsors, Spain's Tenebrio and Bulgaria's Nasicomo. I'd like to show a couple of slides just to introduce you properly to the international platform of insects for food and feed. Here we go. In a nutshell, there are currently 73 members of the platform. They come from 23 countries, 23 EU countries, plus the UK, Norway, and Switzerland, as well as 5 non-European countries, which are Israel, South Korea, the US, Japan, and New Zealand. In addition to insect producers, which you can see highlighted in red and green, the association also includes academic actors, who are highlighted in purple. This is on the next slide, I think. Oh, no, sorry, I take it back. As well as operators active at different stages of the value chain. That's those not producing or processing insects as such, but equipment and technology producers. They're in orange. We also have as members several national insect associations. That's the FFPIDI in France, VENIC for the Netherlands, and the Food and Biocluster in Denmark. The Czech Insect Association has also joined, although I believe we're still waiting for the logo to show on the slides. So that's enough introduction, I think, for today. I would like to introduce you to Adriana Casillas, the president of IPIFF, to set the scene.
Thank you. So, dear guests and dear colleagues, good morning and welcome to the 2024 IPIFF webinar dedicated to available EU funding instruments for the insect sector. I'm thrilled to see so many of you here today, all gathered with a shared interest in the exciting and rapidly evolving world of insect production. As we kick off this webinar, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible journey the insect sector has undertaken over the past few years. What started as a niche idea has now grown into a vital component of sustainable agriculture and food systems, offering innovative solutions to some of the most pressing challenges we face today. The International Platform of Insects for Food and Feed has been at the forefront of this transformation, advocating for the sector, fostering collaboration, and driving research and development. Today's event is a testament to our collective efforts and a step forward in our mission to integrate insect-based products into a mainstream markets. Our agenda today is packed with insightful presentations and discussions. We have a diverse lineup of speakers whose expertise will guide your business growth to the next level by offering an overview of different funding and financial support mechanisms available to the EU insect companies, from regional developments to circular economic related activities, or even the development of new markets are just some of the aspects we will learn about today. Furthermore, based on the results of a recently conducted survey by the IPIFF organization, we will have an idea of the current investment and funding trends of the EU insect sector today. I would like to extend a special thank you to our highly supportive sponsors, namely Tebrio from Spain and Nasecomo from Bulgaria, and to our partners from Insect Academy and Intersect. Finally, heartfelt thanks to our moderator, Felicia Jackson, who has helped us steer the discussion today. So enjoy the webinar, and Felicia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Adriana. The next thing I'd like to do is introduce our first speaker, Silvia Alvarez Santos. She's a policy advisor at the Directorate General on Regional and Urban Policy at the European Commission. She's going to be talking to us this morning about EU cohesion support for SMEs and innovation. Silvia, to you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for this opportunity to be here with you today. As highlighted by Felicia, I will be concentrating my presentation today on cohesion policy support to SMEs, with a special focus on research and innovation, and also on the interregional part and for the agri-food partnerships. So let me start then with the big picture. What is cohesion policy about? So this is the main EU investment policy. It is embedded, of course, in the treaty, and the main goal is to support the Union and its territories to ensure that the economic, social, and cohesion of the Union. By this, the aim is to reduce the disparities, the territorial disparities, the economic disparities that we have in the EU. And you will see in this map different regions of different colors. And this is the way how they are classified according to the GDP per head per capita and the level of intensity of support of resources of money that they receive from the EU. So you will see that the less developed regions are those in darker orange, and those are the regions that receive a higher intensity of support. Then the transition regions are in the kind of middle orange, middle ground, and then the lighter orange or kind of yellow, these are the regions more developed, and they receive a less intensity aid support. But the important thing here is that we support every region, this regarding of the level of development that they have. And the focus is on those less developed in transition, because we want to help them to improve and to reach a higher level of economic development. And how is this done? So we have money set aside for this, quite substantial. You see here, for the 21-27 period, there are 379 billion only of EU resources. Then this is, we don't finance it 100%. So then this is top up with national allocations, which is then the figure is increasing. And this money is transmitted or funded for specific calls and programs in the different regions of the EU, according to programs that are negotiated with the member states and the regions for 7-year period. So this is what is called shared management, because we here in Brussels, we don't run the calls, as opposed to other direct management instruments, as it could be, for example, Horizon Framework Program, but with programs which are agreed on the basis of certain conditions with the member states and the regions. If you want to know more exactly in your region, who are your managing authorities, the authorities that are in charge of negotiating with us, those, you will have here in this presentation a link that will guide you through, and then you could find all the information there. So the principle in the big picture is that one. And when we negotiate the programs with the member states and the regions, then we are based on a few policy objectives, which are in the regulation. So today I'm going to concentrate on the first one, which is Smarter Europe. Here is where there will be the higher proportion of resources for opportunities, for example, for SMEs innovation, for the competitiveness of SMEs, but also for the digitalization or for the skills. Then we have the greener and low carbon Europe. Then this includes all the investments linked to the energy transition, circular economy, climate adaptation, and risk management. And PO3 is a more connected Europe. There you have all the investments in transport, for example, in railways, just to give an example. PO4, a more social Europe, this is more related to ESF, the European Social Fund, and this is the money that goes to invest into the training, mostly, the big lines. And finally, a Europe closer to citizens. Those are a small proportion of comparatively small proportion of money that goes for integrated actions that are bottom-up, that are agreed with the regions and member states, mostly to help, for example, in rural or coastal activities. So those are the policy, the cohesion policy objectives. And if you want to have an idea, sorry, now I'm going to focus on the regional development fund, sorry, on the PO1. So I explain here that most of the opportunities are, the biggest proportion of money is on PO5, PO1, on Smart Europe. And then when we enter into this big policy objective, this is breakdown in 5 specific objectives. So it's perhaps becoming a bit complex. I will try to explain as concise as I can. So the focus here will be today on specific objective 1.1, which is focused on innovation, the innovation of SMEs. And what we do there, for example, as a kind of activities that we are supporting on basis of these programs. For example, we are supporting the investment research of innovation for SMEs, but also on universities, both on the offer and the demand. Entrepreneurial universities, for example, a lot of focus is on new technologies. So all that goes, for example, with supporting pilot project lines, early validation, technological transfer, also the collaboration between academia and industry for example, clusters, technological offices. It's actually quite broad and quite substantial what can be funded there on basis of these programs which are negotiated. One important thing is that we don't finance deployment under 1.1, but it can be financed under 1.3, the growth and competitiveness of SMEs. Then we can also, if there is a technology that is validated, then we can finance the deployment of this, the validation of its technology across a sector, for example. Also, it could be financed if it is related to a green technology, for example, under PO2. Then we also finance the digitalization of companies, digital skills. And you will see here in the center of this picture that it says smart specialization strategies. So when we negotiate, and as it is indicated in the regulation, we don't negotiate investments scattered. They have to be part of a strategy. And this strategy is developed by the region. So this is a completely bottom-up process, and it has to guide investments that are here highlighted a bit in more of the darker yellow, 1.1 and 1.4. So all those investments have to be subject to a smart specialization strategy. And what is this strategy about? So this is like the innovation policy concept that was developed back in 2010. Actually, it was born in the frame of the ERTD, and then as for 2014, it was adopted by cohesion policy. So all the investments that we are supporting to companies for the innovation have to be in line with this strategy. And this strategy is completely developed by the regions. It's completely bottom-up, so the Commission is not telling them what we should focus on. And then normally they select the sectors or priority areas on where they think is a competitive advantage, where they have more potential to grow. This in the first period was for 14-20, those strategies were developed. And now for the 21-27 period, we ask new elements to include in these strategies, such as, for example, to reinforcing the governance, the monitoring, but also the interregional dimension part that I will come a bit later into my presentation. The idea behind, as I said, is to ensure that investments are aligned to a strategy instead of scattered. This is creating more critical mass. Is demonstrated also in audits that it has a positive effect, especially in the less developed regions, that they are helping them to build this critical mass to support them. And it's based on very simple design. It's based on the participation of the several actors that form the innovation ecosystem, by the academia, by the industry, public service, and also the civil society, with a bit more of difficulty also to engage civil society in this kind of processes, but we are getting there. As I said, prioritization, this is the regions who prioritize the investments that they want to focus, because we cannot finance everything. And then the location, because this is completely bottom up. So you want to know more, I also put there a couple of links. We have a S3 community of practice that we are helping the regions to get together. And here is also some pictures of the last forum that took place in Barcelona that gathered more than 300 people around the S3. And then if you're wondering, okay, this is good, but in practice, how does it look like? So in the S3 community of practice, we also have an observatory there. I also put you the link direct there, where you could find in your region what is being financed on the research and innovation. So you can go there. Either you can search by keywords. Actually, the keyword for the time being is disactivated, but normally I should be back soon or working, but other by territorial level. There you can choose your region, or by economic classification, scientific, or innovation ecosystem domain. I put you there an example. Agri-food is a very popular priority area for smart specialization and related investments in the EU. If you pop there, I mean, for example, let's see that here I did an example with agri-food, then you have the strategy there. You can see the regions and the specific priorities as they are in the strategy. It may be easier for you, for example, just to go to territorial level, then you select the region or the region you are interested into, and then you will end up with here, like for example, this is an example of a regional and country profile. There is like a specific page for every region like that, where you will have a direct access to the strategies there. And then you also have a bit of an idea of what we are financing, which areas and which domains. So I believe this can be very helpful, especially when you are trying to build up interregional collaboration. This is why it's also public there. And now I want to focus then on the interregional part. This is, I believe, since we are also here talking to an audience that is quite a wide range, and to explain a bit what we are doing. I told you at the beginning, a bit earlier on, that for the 21-27 period, we ask regions to focus in the frame of their enabling condition. I mean, this is the kind of how we call the strategic framework when we are negotiating with them, to include measures to enhance the cooperation with partners in other regions of the EU in areas which are complementary to their smart specialization areas. Most of the times, these are areas which are, for example, in the Interreg program, that perhaps you have heard of them already, but we are supporting also with a very specifically with capacity building, 3 thematic platforms and partnerships, and also interregional innovation investment. This is a new financing scheme that we have. And now I'm going to concentrate on those 2 items for the rest of the presentation. So in the frame of the strict community of practice, this is a service contract that we are running with a external provider. Before was with the GRC, maybe some might be familiar with some of you in the audience. We are giving capacity building support to thematic platforms. So what are thematic platforms? These are there are platforms which are with other DGs of the Commission. So it's not only DG Regio. For example, the agri-food is with DG Agriculture. You have the sustainable blue economy with DG Mare, industrial modernization, DG Grow, and energy with DG Ener. And on that we try to put together actors that are working to a common goal, to establish connections in innovation throughout Europe. And the result, for example, in the thematic agri-food, which is, by the way, one of the most active ones, just to give you an idea here, the main areas that we are supporting them is to help them with regional collaboration. So the different partnerships are exploring opportunities to collaborate to enhance agriculture and food sectors. Also, some other partnerships, they are more interested in going into explore possible funding opportunities, innovation, creation of new value chains, investment projects in areas that have a high value, high-tech farming, for example, and some others are more on the societal impact. This is more or less the areas that they are more interested in. All the information is there on the website. We have at the moment 8 agri-food partnerships, not yet on the insets. And all the information is there on the STRICOP website. What you I invite you to visit there, because for each of the partnerships, you will have a specific subpage, and they will tell you what is the partnership about. You have the contact details, you can engage with them. And we have an open call for expression of interest to either join a partnership or create a new one. There are 2 cutoff dates. No, one is more around the spring and the other in autumn. For example, we have had recently just a steering committee now in June, where 2 new partnerships on the agri-food were welcome on board. So then you will have there all the information. You will have to go through an application which is evaluated internally by the Commission services. And if you are successful, then you can benefit from this scheme, which is purely capacity building. So there you are not getting financing like in projects, let's say. So I'm going to now to focus, or perhaps let me just I think I mentioned to you that we have 8 agri-food partnerships. I don't know them by heart, but let me tell you which ones they are, because it might be useful for you in case you want to reach out to them. These are on the consumer involvement, food packaging, high-tech farming, ingredients for a circular economy, smart sensors for agri-food, traceability, and big data in the agri-food value chain. And the 2 new ones we were recently approved are the plant-based food innovation and food for positive health impact. So you will have further details on the website. The steps for the last 2 are still not yet there, but the information will come very soon. And now, and with that, I'm almost finished. I want to raise to you the information about the I3 instrument. So I explained you so far the opportunities are in shared management in these programs that are agreed with a time frame of 7 years with the regions. But as for 21-27, we also have a small proportion of money that goes into direct management. So these are programs that go with open call of proposal, which is run by AISMEA, by the European Agency, the Innovation Council and SMEs Agency. I think we have a presentation later on from a colleague that comes with another program. And this is a program that from the region that is delegated there. So here it is about investments. These are activities which are envisaged to target commercialization and scaling up. So this is quite precise there, involving less developed and more developed regions in areas which are complementary, in smart specialization areas which are complementary. And we have at the moment calls, so here just to give you an overview, but I want to draw your attention to the open calls. We have an open call on capacity building there. You see there are direct links that you can also, find all the information on the website. There was a first cutoff date in February, but there is a second one in November. And there is just early this month, a new call is open for strands A1 and A2. All the details are available there on the website. So I invite you to check and to see whether that could be an opportunity for you. And I think perhaps I'm almost done. I just want to highlight the last slide, is because you may wonder, okay, you explain us a lot about all this program, but in concrete terms, what does it mean for my region or for on the ground? So the Commission has been doing quite substantial work to put all the projects that are financed with cohesion money, with ERDF, on a website. The link is there. There you can find, and you just click on the map and you will see not only in region, but in the specific area, the details of each project. And then you can filter them by, I also put here on the screenshot of how it looks like. So you can filter them, for example, Smart Europe competitiveness of SMEs, and then you are going to see. And information important is the information is not per domain. So if you try to look for agricultural, it's going to be quite difficult, but you will need to find through this competitiveness of SMEs or research and innovation. I think this is the easiest way, but there you will have details of the kind of calls and specific projects that have been financing for 14-20 period. All this information is also available, as compulsory to be available on the websites of each region, of each managing authority. But this is an extra effort that the Commission has done to give visibility of all these projects. So I think I'm I'm good with timing, so I'm stopping there and I'm remaining available to any questions now or in the panel later today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sylvia, and you were exactly on time, which is always a wonderful thing. Just before we start, can I remind all our attendees that if you do want to ask questions, just Google Slido and put in the code 3810767 to send your questions through. Now, Sylvia, just to kick off, I do have a question for you. In your presentation, you talked about the smart specialization strategies and the fact that they're built on 3 pillars. One of these pillars is participation from a range of stakeholders. And of course, with the insect sector being in such a stage of accelerated development, obviously, a lot of players are SMEs. So what role do SMEs play, within this? And are there any particular challenges in accessing cohesion funding?
Yes, thank you, Felicia. This is indeed a very relevant question because, this process, the key of this smart specialization strategy is this process that is engaging the different stakeholders. And indeed, it's a challenge for whatever sector to have the industry on board. So this is not only specific to the insect sector, this is a general challenge. And this is why for the 21-27 period, the Commission is asking the regions to have continuous involvement. And what does it mean as continuous involvement of the different actors? So it means that we are supporting them with capacity building. Again, we are having targeted support assignment with several regions which are experiencing difficulties to engage with the industry. But we are also supporting agents that can help the SMEs, for example, the clusters or on the other umbrella organizations that can help and mobilize the SMEs, because it's very difficult to do the individual mobilization. But if you go a bit more with this kind of umbrella organizations, it's easier to reach a target, bigger audience and to engage with the SMEs. Also, as part of the programs, we are financing activities which the regions have identified as priority to have all those processes running, because it's not just a question of technical assistance, it's a question of engaging them in the operations from the beginning. And this is why I encourage you to get in touch, if not done already, with managing authorities and to explore there where you can fit in the picture. As I said, the agri-food sector is very popular among the priority areas that we are financing. And I'm sure that there will be you will be more than welcome to join, because as we said, it's a need identified that we need to have the industry more on board, because otherwise this is not working.
And so with this national management, one of the questions that's come from the audience is, whom should I address in my region if I wish to obtain financing for my project?
The managing authority, indeed, but then it's not straightforward. This is why in one of the first slides, which of course I imagine that you will distribute to the audience later on, there is a link there where you could have all the list of managing authorities and you can find. But that said, imagine, for example, in the case of big member states or even a smaller one, the managing authority could be the Ministry of Finance, but then it could be that these calls are run by an innovation agency. This is very typical, but the entry point for us is always the managing authority. And I think this is the most relevant for you as a first instance to contact. Then I know in other bigger member states, this is even decentralized, more in a granular basis, but it depends on the setup of the country and the regional setup.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. One of the things you mentioned was also the smart specialization partnerships in the agri-food platform managed by Reggio, especially capacity building support. Has that support led to anything concrete for the insect sector?
Yes, indeed. I can give you, well, not on the insect sector, but on the agri-food
Okay.
more. But I think this could give you, as I said, a bit of an inspiration, because you will see whether you are interested in joining one of the existing partnerships or creating a new one if you find it interesting. But the agri-food was established in the first round back in 2015. It's been one of the most active ones. For example, we have been financing as a result of the thematic platform on the smart sensor systems, the agri-food partnership S3 Food project. They obtained Horizon 2020 financing to develop a project. then, which is like a kind of a platform to support the business ecosystems in the agri-food and to support them with digital solutions. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that they were recently awarded with a cluster partnership award of the year. So then I'm not saying that the merit is all of the partnership, but the partnership is like an entry point to connecting and supporting you to establish these interregional collaborations. And then you will find your way, but it's very difficult to this first part of putting actors together from different regions. Another example, for example, I think is the platform of traceability and big data partnership. They also went into Interreg funding, for example, Regions for Food project. And so there are a few examples, that is just a couple of them, that on how this partnership support led into more concrete projects.
Thank you, Sylvia. That's very much appreciated. And hopefully we'll be able to see some of that level of collaboration in the insect sector.
Who knows?
At this point, I'd like to invite our next speaker, Ana Ruiz, who is the Programme Officer for the Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking, who's going to be talking this morning on driving innovation for SMEs. Ana, over to you.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the introduction, Felicia. Thank you for inviting Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking to be part of this presentation. So after the presentation of my colleague Silvia Alvarez, I'm going to present you another instrument that may be very interesting for the insect sector, which is part of Horizon Europe. So let me share my screen and start my presentation. Here we are. Can you see well the first slide?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. So my name is Ana Ruiz, and I'm one of the program officers of this joint undertaking, working here since the year 2014. So let me start explaining that we are a partnership. We are supporting research and innovation, and our final goal is to support the bioeconomy and advancing a competitive bioeconomy for a sustainable future. And as such, we are funding projects that deliver bio-based solutions, materials, and products made from waste and other type of biomass in an innovative, sustainable, and circular way. I will give you more concrete examples along my presentation, and you will see the opportunities they offer for the insect-based sector. As I already highlighted, we are in fact part of Horizon Europe, but we have a particularity, and the main particularity is that we are a private-public partnership. This means that we are the result of the collaboration of the public sector with the industry, with the private sector. The private sector in our joint undertaking, in our partnership, is represented by a company, by an entity that is called Bio-Based Industries Consortium, which really bring together all the industrial and private members and join forces with the European Commission. We were launched in the year 2021, and we will operate until the year 2031. And we are one of the key instruments contributing to the European Green Deal. We are like the second phase because our predecessor, maybe known by some of you, it was called the Bio-Based Industries Joint Undertaking, was operated until the year 2021, since 2014. So we are already in the second phase of this program, which is resulting very interesting for the industry. We were established by a council regulation together with other partnerships. And regarding CD, Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking, these are our main objectives. So first of all, we are focused on funding research and innovation. So we want to support the development of new solutions, innovations in the area of the bioeconomy. But we also work at the deployment phase because we are supporting the acceleration of the market solutions and ensuring that they reach the market. And we are also really focused on ensuring high level of environmental performance. One of the main characteristics, as I already say, is that we are an industry-driven program. And how this is achieved is because we have an agenda, which is called the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, that was driven by the industry. So in this agenda, you will see which are our priorities for the next years, the different research and innovation areas, and there are the lines that will be used to support our projects. This strategic research and innovation agenda, in fact, is the umbrella, the legal framework that we use to publish in annual basis our annual work programs. And within the annual work programs, we establish the list of topics. So we often call for proposals, and we are funding collaborative projects. Here you see that, in fact, one of the important part of our program is that we are covering the full technological development levels. So from RIA to innovation actions, this is the name that we use. But probably, again, the most characteristic part is the part from the TRL 6 to 8, which are really the deployment, working close to the real commercial scale. But we also have some call for proposals that are open for research and innovation actions, that they are working at a technological level less developed. And in fact, this part is particularly relevant, or we have seen that it's particularly relevant for the insect-based sector. And we have also the CSAs, which are coordination and support actions. They are not linked to the technological development, but they are supporting actions. This type of actions is the same that the actions that are supported by any normal Horizon Europe program. But as I have said, that we are particularly engaged with these innovation actions and flagships, that they are large-scale, first of its kind product facilities in Europe. Here, what I wanted to raise is that the number of projects that we have, the type of beneficiaries. So since 2014, here I have already included our predecessor BBI. We have already found almost 200 projects involving 1,500 beneficiaries, supporting with 1.1 million of CBU funding, involving 43 countries. In the graphic, you can see in green that in fact, one of the most relevant beneficiaries are private sector beneficiaries. But what it may be also very interesting for you is to see the share of SMEs. So we have 35% of small and medium-sized enterprises. This is the accumulated figure since 2014. Include the last funded projects in the call 2023. So in the next graph, you can see here the share of funding. Again, we can see that it's not only about the number of SMEs involved, it's really about the budget that the SMEs are receiving, which also amount to the 32% of small and medium-sized enterprises. This really confirms that our program has a strong interest for SMEs, not only in terms of the numbering, in which you can see that 1 out of 3 beneficiaries are SMEs, but also because they represent the major share of the funding that goes to SMEs. Another highlight that well, you can really see in our web, we have the annual activity report, but I have extracted 2-3 ideas. So the first one is the fact that this program is extremely attractive for SMEs. Then if we compare, for example, the number of SMEs that we have with other Horizon 2020 programs, let's say with the target, we are almost doubling. So while the target in Horizon 2020 was 20%, we achieved in that in the DDI period and in the first call almost 37% of the funding. And we are in really showing this important share of funding. And also, this is not represented in this chart, but we also look at the type of participation of SMEs, and we have seen that 77% of the SME applications participated in RIAs, in research and innovation actions. So in projects that they are still developing the technology, testing, validating. So this confirms that in fact the SMEs are important contributors to high-risk collaborative research and development projects within these European bio-based industries. In here, I wanted also to show you that in fact, we are funding other several types of projects because we use different types of biomass. But the big bubble you see is the projects that are funded belonging to the agri-food cluster. So these different bubbles represent the type of feedstock that is used in our projects. So we use biomass is transformed in the biorefineries and they deliver different bio-based products. So the main type of biomass that are used in our project is agri-food, which again confirms that it may be an important potential for the insect-based sector. The highlight in yellow is because I have highlighted the new projects from the last call. The forest-based sector is, of course, very important. The aquatic was less abundant in the first part of EBI, but is also increasing. And if we go to the areas of application, again, here the bubbles represent which are the main products delivered from this biorefinery transformation. And again, one of the important parts of these bio-based products are foods, feed, and cosmetics. Here again, we are coming to the ingredients that can be delivered thanks to the insect-based sector. Here you can see how we are, where we have these flagships. So I already commented to you that one characteristic part of our program is that we are funding flagships, first of its kind operating in Europe, biorefineries. We have already funded 19 flagships biorefineries, and you see here the spread out in Europe. I will not comment on all of them. I will only comment on farming, which is really focused on insects, that I will comment later on it. And in this slide, you can see the demo projects. We have more than 130 demonstration plants, again, around Europe, which are really scaling up the technology, trying to get closer to the markets. It's like the step before going to the flagships. And now I'm moving to really the part on highlighting some case stories we have involving the insect sector. And I will like to show you as example 5 projects that we have already found where the insects have an important part of the technology and the objectives of the projects. I will present one flagship, which is the project farming, and I will also highlight another 4 good examples that are research and innovation actions. Within the projects, I have categorized regarding the role of the insects. So we have 2 of them that they are mainly focused on the extraction of proteins directly from the insect, while in the second block of cases, the studies, the success stories, I'm more focused on the insects used as a biotechnology instrument to transform biomass. So we have farming. This is one of our great projects. Probably Antoine Hubert, who is with us, may explain better, because this project is coordinated by insect. So we start this project in the year 2019, in fact, and it will last until June 2025 with a contribution of almost 20 million euros from the European Commission. And the main objective of this project is in fact the extraction of nutrients from mealworms that they will help to support this new generation of products. The plant will be able to produce more than 5,000 tons of live insects. You can see in the picture in the right the size of the plant. What it has been done in the last year, it's really, really amazing. This project already started with a demo plant in France. It's located close to Amiens, this flagship, but they have also another plant located in Bretagne. And really is an amazing example of a company that is growing very fast in the sector. In this particular consortium, they have 20 partners involved in all the activities of the project. 1/3 of them are SMEs, and what is almost very important to highlight is that the coordinator insect is also an SME. And in these pictures, you can see what they have done in the last year. In the left, you see a picture of the year 2021. Nothing was built. We can say that in the year 2024, they have this huge plant, which in fact is supported by CDE, but is also supported by other funding instruments, and is a great example of collaboration and funding to support insect-based companies. And as a second example, I like to highlight another project that we are funding. This is still ongoing. It's called InnoProtein. In this case, it's a research and innovation action, so still it's not mature enough to reach the market. And in this case, the main objective of this project is to obtain single-cell proteins from different sources, including microalgae, bacteria, but also proteins from insects. And again, you can see in the composition of the consortium, where the SMEs are playing a very important role. Is more than half of the beneficiaries of the consortium members are SMEs, which really shows the type and nature of the beneficiaries and the stakeholders. What they will do with the single-cell proteins, it will be used for different applications, including food, animal feed, and other non-food bio-based products. And then I move into the second block of examples, which in this case, the insects are not directly used to extract the proteins, but in this case, the insects are used to transform the biomass in intermediates or and deliver other bio-based products. And we have 3 fantastic examples that have been already funded. The first of this project is Recover. It has finished in the month of May. And this amazing project was focused on the valorization and the ensuring that they combine different microorganisms, enzymes, but also insects and earthworms for the management of the waste, the plastic waste from food packaging and agricultural applications. So here we are using the insects together with other microorganisms to convert or to turn a problem into a new opportunity. The waste of the packaging is transformed and is able, with this technological process, biotech process, to produce really high added value products such as biofertilizers and new bioplastic formulations that can be used in agriculture, for example, mulching films, sticks, pots, food packaging, coatings, and other products using innovative insect-based process. I will continue with indirect. This project was already finished, was funded or started in the year 2016 and finished in the year 2019. And in this innovative project, they had a model of a different step biorefinery process and they were converting plant-based side-stream feedstock into an homogeneous biomass. Okay, it was needed to have this homogeneous biomass is needed to go to the next step and produce other high added value products. And again, here the insects, in this case, the black soldier fly and lesser mealworm, were used for the conversion. I already forgot to mention in my previous slide, but in all the cases, the participation of SMEs is really high. Here, almost again, half of the participants were SMEs. And with the next example, I will finish soon my presentation. And this is another project that is called Telco, Zero Waste Lignocellulosic Biorefineries by Integrated Lignin Valorization, 5 million project supported by BBI. It's a research and innovation action as well. And in this case, the objective was to demonstrate the feasibility of transforming lignocellulose biorefinery into high added value products. I don't know if you know, but really the lignocellulose biorefinery is very hard and difficult to transform. And here again, they have proved a very innovative process combining chemical and enzymatic catalysis with insect-based conversion in order to produce bioactive compounds that can be used later on in different applications. With this example, I finish my presentation. I really thank you so much. And here in my last slide, you can find our details and an email that please don't hesitate to use if you would like to have more information, because I will be happy to help and to support in that process. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna, very much appreciated. And for our audience, remember again that if you have questions, the Slido code is 3810767. And we do have a panel discussion later this morning, so if you have further questions for Sylvia or for Anna, we can take them there. Now, Anna, one of the things that's come up is about the flagship projects. We've actually had a few questions about this. The CBE has already funded a flagship project. So is there potential for another? And if so, are there any specific guidelines explaining how to apply for such a project?
Thank you so much. Well, we have a lot of guidelines. All the information is well presented in our website. And in that sense, I would say that they can consult the website and to check the guide for applicants and contact us if they have any doubts. As such, we are funding flagships that are first in its kind in Europe. So we have already funded farming. However, we are, of course, open to fund similar projects. They cannot be a replication of farming, but should be another project with different scope, also using insect-based technologies, but of course there is room. And I would say, and I will advise the interested organization to consult our work program, because in our work program they can already see the different topics that are open. Some of them are not only focused on one type of biomass, they are open to different technologies and perfectly can fit with a company developing insects. And it may also be interesting for the industrial and the private organizations to contact BIC, the Bio-Based Industries Consortium, because as I already explained, they have a lead role in defining the agenda and also in defining the topics that they are later on published in call for proposals. So it will really can open new doors for new topics that are interested for this sector.
Wonderful, thank you. And then, of course, one of the questions that always arises is whether or not the fund is likely to provide cover for the capex of an industrial plant, or if there are other funds that might be better suited to provide that kind of support.
Well, what I can explain is that in our projects, the capex is eligible, so the construction of the plant is eligible, so we are supporting. We have a limitation on the amount. but this is eligible and this can be funded.
Okay, that's
If this is
wonderful.
also provided in another instruments, this I don't have the information, but I can confirm that we are funding also the construction, the facilities, the technology that is used in the facilities.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you. I think one of the challenges is always trying to work out which part of your project is appropriate for which type of funding. Anna, thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Really enjoyed listening to you. We're going to move on to our next speaker. I'd like to introduce Antoine Hubert, who is Insect's co-founder, executive vice president and chief strategy officer. He's also the second vice president of IPIFF. He's going to give us this morning an overview of the EU insect sector and funding trends. Antoine, over to you.
Thank you. Very nice to be with you today. Thank you for the presentation. Thanks IPIFF for this opportunity to present what we do with the association, and also of course I thank Anna for this presentation before, and also showcasing the different projects, including indeed what we did at Insect, and I can really testify how important it was to have the support of the Commission and BBI for such projects. And it's good to see that there are many other also supported for our sector. So now I will zoom to carry on this webinar on the EU insect sector and its impact and the development overall in Europe in terms of factories beyond the few examples just Anna showed previously, supported by the BBI. First thing, it's about the different challenges Europe is facing. The first one is about the food waste accumulation, about 60 million tons per year. That's a very large amount that has an important environmental impact, but also potential resources for different usage. It's also the topics of vulnerable supply chains since COVID-19 and the situation in Ukraine, the war there is a real shortage that has started to happen, especially on the fertilizer angle. And of course, with the climate change happening or the biodiversity issues, there is a need for more sustainable diets. As we know, the weight of agriculture in its contribution to climate change and biodiversity reduction, erosion. So on all these aspects, agriculture is at the nexus of all of these challenges, and in the insect sector is one way to contribute positively to all these key challenges. Because insects and farmed insects generate different products that could be used locally. So we farm our insects overall in many countries in Europe. Almost every country in Europe today have insect farms. So it's a local production, so enabling to have less importations of different ingredients. It's for different kind of applications, from farmed animal feed, pigs, poultry, fish, but also human food or pet food, but of course also fertilizer for any kind of crops. And this is one way indeed to link this sector to the existing farming sector. The frass, this insect manure, can be used in any crop cultivation, from raw crops, cereals, corn, to vineyards, vegetables and fruits. But it's also the case again for the animal farmers, fish, pigs, and poultry that can use feed that includes insect proteins or fats. Insect farming is known for a long time to have a low environmental footprint, highly efficient organism, converting resources into final proteins. So very small use of land and water. It has, of course, some fluctuation, depends on the insect species or the technology used to farm the species. But overall, among the lowest environmental footprint for any kind of animal. So very positive impact also on biodiversities. The connection, as I just mentioned, our sector is really contributing to the EU farming sector and also to the renewal of the sector and its generation. As you know, it's a big challenge in many countries. to keep having farmers and to keep the same level of production with the number of people that will get retired in the coming years. Insect farming is a new opportunity also, not only with the existing new companies that emerge, but also for existing farmers that could change and add in their farms an insect farm unit. So we see more and more of this happening, from refurbishing existing animal farm equipment, or like poultry barns, into an insect farm, or building a new specific warehouse to farm insect on their farm. So it's a new way also to keep developing and creating innovative and green jobs in rural areas. So that's quite interesting, and offer also to farmers a way to diversify their personal qualifications. What is really the sector today in Europe? First, Europe is still leading the way globally compared to the other continents. So that's also a good thing, and it's a common success from with not only from the entrepreneur side, but again from thanks to the Commission and member state support, from financing to different operational support, customers, suppliers. So there is a very strong ecosystem, including, of course, universities training people, and also working in collaboration with the companies to develop more knowledge on the sector. It's more than 1.5 billion investment in total here in Europe. So and the sector is predominantly composed of SMEs. So which can benefit, as mentioned before in the two previous presentations, a lot of different public financing frameworks. Now it has been more a big decade from the 2010 to 2020. There's been a big decade of strong development of the sector, and now we have really passed a real critical threshold. The production is scaling up from R&D and labs to pilot to really large farms, vertical farms, factories, or more I would say decentralized model, as it's indicated. There are different business models, and all of them show now their maturity and being on the market. As you see from on the right hand side, a different situation from 2010 to 2030 and the forecast. There is a big increase because building a site, building a farm can take some time, especially when they are big, and next take a few years, and so you start to have a more materialization of this investment now on. I will mention about tens of large farms, more than 10,000 tons of proteins have been built and operating or starting to operate. Overall, it's representing more than 3,500 jobs created today, and more than 30,000 expected by the end of the decade. So just mentioning it, more than tens of very large farms have been built or being in operations, producing more than 10,000 of tons. I mean, we have to really understand the magnitude of this investment. It's the most important in any kind of alternative proteins that have been emerging in the past decades. There are no other comparison of this magnitude of deployment of new sites everywhere. It's not only just one country, it's not only one or two companies, it's tens and tens of companies building everywhere in Europe. And again, beyond Europe, we also see some European companies developing new projects out of Europe and exporting the product out of Europe. So it's creating really a strong value for the European Union, not only in jobs but also in incomes. So which is quite important. So we see really again more and more farmers are diversifying their commercial activities towards insect production. This will be increasing a lot in the coming decade. So now we have been also discussing internally with a survey with all our members that was presented earlier today, to see where do we stand and what's the next phase in terms of, again, footprint, manufacturing from large scale to a more decentralized model. And as you see, today, in terms of number of operational sites per company, more than majority and 2/3 of the European insect companies have 2 to 3 facilities being in operation. So that again, that's really massive in terms of impact, work, job created, CO2 emissions avoided, and nutritional benefits, reduction of import, etc. So this is already happening, and all the sector can be proud all together for the success. So there is already a strong investment and a strong presence of the sector. And when you look ahead in the coming years, what our members are doing, the expansion is still progressing. Again, as you saw the previous charts, and from the volume expected in the coming years, it's not just only an idea. It's happening. It's happening because you see almost 80% of our members are working on a new project. And when you say are working, they are in a development phase. That means they are investing money, real money, to do basic or detailed engineering. So they are investing their time, resources, working with engineering company to design new sites. So it's happening. So this will come. This expansion you could see in the previous chart in terms of magnitude of product will materialize because the projects are being developed today by all our members everywhere in Europe. And even more important, so 80% of our members are working on this, but not only for one farm. You see, almost 70% of our members are working on 2 to 3 projects, again, investing time, resources, money, to build more than 2 to 3 plants, 2 to 3 farms in the coming years. So again, that's also giving you a sense of what we all the sector together is working on in terms of bringing new products from proteins to fertilizer on the market. Investment is also growing. As I showed you in a few minutes ago, there are different models from very decentralized, where you have one like unit, a breeding unit, where eggs or baby larvae are produced and sent to smaller units that could be managed by an existing farmer to grow the baby larvae to big larvae to be used live on the farm, or being sent back to the centralized unit to be processed and put as like protein meal for fish or pets or pigs. And so we have this distributed model, and more we say integrated farm from medium to big size. And you see the average investment capital expenditure spent for the first operational sites for all our members were mainly small farms below 5 million of investments, 60%, about 60%. And 1/3 was between 5 and 20 million, which is already significant in terms of projects. And 5% of products, so not small, were more than 100 million. And what you see now for the next project is that still indeed the majority of projects are below 5 million, 60%. But you see more and more larger projects from 5 to 20 million, and you start to have more projects beyond 50 million and beyond 100 million. So altogether, about 15% of projects being worked today, being engineered, are for projects with more than 50 million investment in total. So again, that's really significant and showing you where the sector is going. All of this has been enabled by funding, indeed, for these companies to get their commercial maturity and be profitable. There is obviously private money, private investors, from business angels, venture capital, private equity, that have invested in these companies. But of course, public funding has been absolutely critical to develop this innovative and of course risky businesses. So you see different kind of instruments that have been already presented by the 2 colleagues just before, from the different Interreg Europe, funding research, regional development fund, common agricultural policy, and national funds, public national funds. So you see a different variety, and from the Horizon 2020 and BBI and so on, are about half of the members benefited of this, and about half of the members also benefited from national funds. So you see, very important for everyone. So now to finish this presentation in the few minutes remaining. So what's ahead, and what will be the next challenges? One of them is still regulatory. I mean, the sector has seen a tremendous change of positive change in regulation, because when we started, some of us were there more than 10 years ago, the pet food market was the only approved market. Since then, we were able to sell the product in Europe, in fish feed, in poultry, in pigs. Several dossiers have been approved as novel food or as fertilizer. So there have been already a lot of things very positive. But since we see, and also mentioned by our colleagues, Heinrich Katz, our treasurer, there are still ways to unlock and accelerate, I mean, the impact of the sector. And we could mention three main, I would say, pillars. The first is about fertilizers. As I mentioned, there have been already a few dossiers, a few products happening, brought on the market, but there is no really unified regulation. It has started to be implemented. There are still a few steps ahead to be able to use really use the full potential of this fertilizer everywhere in Europe with an harmonized rule. So this is something that is the last part of this reform is expected by the end of the year, early next year, and will unlock also the flow of this fertilizer everywhere in Europe, and use more organic, local, and less mineral-based and imported fertilizer from out of Europe. It's about, of course, organic production. Insect is strongly, again, a sustainability, has a strong sustainability angle, and really fitting very well the organic label production systems. So there is still a need for this really standards. What is an organic insect farm? So we are expecting these new rules to come, especially in aquaculture, which could be really, really interesting for the sector. And lastly, it's about feeding substrates, because the main cost for all the farmers is about the feed you give to insects. That's the first cost, and generally the second are either the energy or the people, the staff that are being paid at the farm. The feed is from far often the main cost in a farm. So there are there have been for a couple of years a work to use former foodstuff that includes meat and fish. And this is currently being assessed with different food safety analysis and the European food safety authorities. So we expect this that could come in 2026, and that could change a lot the picture. Why? And I think this report of Rabobank gives you some idea of that. Today, I think in the past few years, insects were really only a niche with some expensive product. This what Rabobank called the scale-up phase. You see product from 3 to 5, 6 euros per kilo, with a market almost really focused on pet food and few small elements, I would say, in the other farmed animals. We start to see more and more players being in this water use period in terms of pricing. So starting to expand more beyond pet food, especially to aquaculture. It's happening now with the larger sites being built and being in operation. The last phase where the product will be even more competitive and below 2 euros per kilo, will unlock a lot the total production from the 200,000 that would be reached today to 500,000 tons of products, with an average use of about 10% in animal feed. That means 5 million tons of animal feed that will be using roughly insect ingredients in Europe. So that's really, really significant. This price today is very difficult to reach without indeed a strong leverage on the reduction of the feed costs, which can go through the approval of former foodstuff. We start to see this already happening, this level of competitiveness in China, where they can use this kind of former foodstuff. So we are also very sensitive to this and careful to keep the European farmers' competitiveness and hope not to start to have foreigner, will say, product that will be more competitive coming to the European markets. So as a conclusion, our roadmap, highlighted by our president, Adriana Casillas, really we have the sector is ticking a lot of boxes, as told you in the introduction: sustainability, food security, and local production, local supply chains, and also nutritional, a lot of nutritional and health benefits. So the contribution of the sector, as a conclusion, is really to keep ambitious actions. We can again bring a lot of added value. The next common agricultural policy framework could use even more, I would say, agri-environmental measures that will target diversify initiative, including insects. I think that will be a strong thing. The sector really can contribute to the EU efforts to decarbonize the economy, to increase the EU domestic production of proteins and organic fertilizers, to contribute also to different EU industrial innovation policies. Again, you have seen the number of sites or farms or factories that have been built. It's quite really rare to have such young sector led by startups, having already such a large manufacturing footprint everywhere in Europe. So the new multi-annual framework coming soon, hopefully will take into account all the contribution of the insect sector and frame the appropriate funding opportunities to keep our leadership in the world. So thank you very much for your attention, and happy to take a few questions.
Thank you, Antoine. We won't actually take questions for Antoine directly now. We're going to go straight into the panel discussion. Just again, for our audience, if you have questions, the Slido code is 3810767. The discussion this morning is going to be about EU funding to SMEs, the case for the EU insect sector. And we're interested in current trends and opportunities. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Antoine, Anna, and Sylvia have to say. The first question I have actually is to Antoine. It's exciting to hear about the contribution that insect farming can make to climate, to nutrition, to generational renewal, to food security. But I think one of the questions that's really interesting to me is, what are the challenges to mainstreaming insect farming, and how do we overcome
them? Thanks for the question. I think one of the challenge was regulation so far. It's more behind us, but still, as I mentioned, there are few items still ahead of us, especially former foodstuff topic, to increase competitiveness of any insect farm and to deploy even more the potential. So that's one, I would say, challenge. The second is obviously financing, and we see, I think, the public side is really playing its role from Europe, the European Commission, and all the framework that has been presented before by Sylvia and Anna. And on the private sector, it has been the case. It's indeed, there are some change of, I would say, dynamics since the situation also in Ukraine in 2022. The private sector, also the financing sector, is not as positive as it used to be. So there are less opportunities in the private sector in the past 2 years, but we hope that it's just conjunctural, and that will change also with the new dynamics, and private investor will be more supportive. It's not the case only for insect. I mean, it's more for all startups and innovative companies. The private investment is less developed these days. So that's the second challenge, I would say. You have always talent also. It's pretty innovative. So access to talent that could also, from having strong farming, I would say, knowledge or manufacturing knowledge, but also the ability to work on really innovative and new topics, especially with a new biology being insect. It's not always easy and access in everywhere, and especially in rural areas, to be able to attract talents everywhere in Europe. So that's also another one. And the technology, I would say, challenge was a big one back in the days, more than 10 years ago. I think today it's much less the case, because a lot of our members could prove that the technology is there. Now we are able to sell at a competitive price for a specific market size, and we could increase much more this market again by more financing and more, I would say, regulatory support.
Thank you, Antoine. And I think, a follow-on question for that, I think for Sylvia, would be, given the fact that we're in the process of mainstream insect farming, how open is the EU to the insect sector? You know, how likely is it that insect projects would receive funding, and sort of what sort of project is more likely to receive funding?
Okay, well, I will try to give my best, but I think this is a question more perhaps for member states, because at the end of the day, the policy directions are decided in the council, and they are the ones who decide on the intensity of funding and the direction that we should give, and also on the strategies that we should that this funding should be accompanied by. But have that said, I mean, I showed you before, I think, the picture for the agri-food, and even if we cannot enter into the level of granularity for the insect, it doesn't mean that this is not being funded. I think that Antoine also put there some figures there where you could see a lot of money going from ERDF going to the insect. And this is also done because of the regional authorities, when they are designing the innovation strategies, I mean, they have no interest, and there is no interest of anyone to put this level of granularity to detail. It's better to have more broader areas, because then it's easier for you to cover when it comes to the funding, because it has to be a key requirement in the call of proposals to receive the ERDF funding. So it's a bit complex, the mechanics there. But this said, I mean, I think indeed, I mean, I will encourage you to take the opportunities of the partnerships, as I said, because I think that this might be an opportunity for you to have more, I mean, at the EU level, more of an interregional dimension that is not always easy to access, especially when you want to go to this kind of collaborative projects that Anya was mentioning. From the start of the side of the ERDF, I mean, for let's say the mainstream programs that we offer, is quite difficult to go then to give this jump from national funding or national programs to the interregional ones. And I think this is maybe something that you may want to explore very operationally. But then, I mean, for the future, very honestly, it's quite difficult for me in my position to go beyond that.
No, well, thank you for sort of for giving us a perspective. I think, Anna, another really important element of this is not simply the type of project, but the size of the company. Now, there's been a question about the SME funding rate, but I think in your slides you said it was 35%. What size are these SMEs? Because that covers an awful lot of ground. Do you have anything more granular on who's actually achieving funding?
Okay. In fact, I didn't comment on this funding rate, but I do confirm. But still, I do confirm that in innovation actions and in flagship, the funding rate is 60%, while in research and innovation actions, the funding rate is 100%. So SMEs are fully covered for the research and innovation actions. Regarding the assessment on the size of the SMEs that are receiving funding, I have not with me now this granularity of if they are really small SMEs of 5 persons working in the companies, or rather are high SMEs, is something that we want to explore at CDE. The profile of SMEs, the size of SMEs that are receiving funding, and is something that we have in our mind to do in the CDE, but not available yet.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question that we've had come through is for Antoine. What can IPIFF do to unlock new EU funding opportunities for insect producers?
Sorry, could you repeat what?
So what can IPIFF do to unlock new EU funding opportunities for insect producers?
I mean, the IPIFF, we have been working and collaborating with the Commission and its different units and all the different European Commission agencies in the past few years, and we will keep working and engage the dialogue. I mean, what is critical is to show what we do, what all together insect companies we are doing. This is what also what it was important to show you today. This indicator, this KPI is about manufacturing, is by showing what has been done in terms of what we have been doing so a lot in the past few years, the protein quantities we have been generating in our farms, the quantities of frass, but also now showing about the number of jobs, the numbers of farms and where it is, the different size. I mean, just to show the reality of our business is one way, I think, a strong way, facts that IPIFF can help, I think, the different European, I would say, entities to show where we stand today and what is the potential again, because there are still, as we mentioned, few limits from regulatory to financing, and what could be the sectors in a couple of years. That's one of our main duties with the members, our elected members in the bureau and the board. Our secretariat is try to always to make comprehensive data from a lot of data, comprehensive outcome of this data to show this, what we have been doing, our impact, our sustainability impact, our production impact, our farming impact, social impacts all together. And we will keep doing this positive dialogue with all our stakeholders.
Thank you. Now, my next question is also for Antoine, but I would actually be really interested to hear Anna and Sylvia's take on this as well. So Antoine, one of the audience has asked, for new insect companies, what do you suggest to focus on as a differentiator? Because there's always an interest from investors on how you differentiate yourself from the competition. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And then Anna and Sylvia, I'd be really interested to hear if there are particular things that would stand out about an insect company that would make them more appealing for your funding sources. Antoine, could we start with you?
That's a very, very important point, I think. What I said before is maybe we are this alternative protein sector with I would say the biggest developments in terms of number of companies, number of sites, and number of countries everywhere in Europe is very, very large and quite unique. But the drawback is indeed you need financing, and at some point you need to get differentiated, especially when it's still innovative. You cannot rely only today on like a classical usual business on banks. The sector is really in a couple of years, maybe 5, 10 years, 15 years, it will be the case. It's as spread as we will not need I would say more investors that understand risk, but banks that will just give you a loan because they know very well the insect sector and they know that it's really serious, not risky. They're already there for a long time, so this will exist in a couple of years. Till then, it's not the case. So you still need to access to kind of money that accept risks, and this is really venture capital in private money. And also public money needs also to fund also innovative solutions. And for this, we start to see at IPIFF the fact that so far there have been a lot of pure players, not only building large farms, but also being involved in all the value chain of the insect farm. If you look the other sector, the poultry, the pigs, and even in the crops, on the value chain, it's a lot of different companies. Companies focus only on feeding the animals. Today, the insect sector do the feeding and the mixing and the nutrition. Then the breeding, it's another company doing this in the poultry sector. Insect do also. It's the fattening, growing the baby to the big stage. Then the slaughterhouse, it's another company. Then processing the final ingredients into one kind of ingredient for one kind of market is another one. Biosecurity, veterinary services are often different companies giving their services. Genetic companies are different companies selling services to the value chain. So you see in other sectors, mature sectors that have been there for forever, you can have 5 to 10 different companies on the value chain where it's only one today, often in the insect sector doing a bit of everything. And we start to see now, because the sector is more mature, more and more newcomers in our sector, and some are members today of IPIFF that come with only working on one element of the value chain. And they work only on this, and they want to be the best on this. We can mention genetics, for instance. We start to see few companies that focus only on insect genetics and bringing value on this. You have companies that do only breeding and do it. And an industrial company or company generally always have this question in mind, a CEO or as an executive committee or board, make or buy. Should I make it or buy it? And if I at some point someone else doing it at a better price than you because they will be focused only on that, like breeding and generating eggs, instead of doing the eggs for me, and if I finally find someone that has been doing only this, and doing an eggs cheaper than what I can do myself, then I will buy it on the market to this other company. So I think clearly the market is structurally going to this direction. It's the case in all the other existing agriculture, farm, animal or vegetal farming, and we start to see it. And indeed, I encourage maybe newcomers to try to maybe to position in one part of the value chain and being the best there, because they will bring value there when the other, I would say, more historical players have been a bit everywhere and will need maybe for at some point to be a bit more focused. So that's one angle. There might be other angles also, and that's also part of innovation. There are always surprises, and entrepreneurs are really creative to develop new ideas and innovations.
Thank you, Antoine. Anna, did you have any thoughts on this?
Yes, thank you so much. Well, what I can confirm is that in our program, any SME can apply, and new SMEs starting working in the insect sector. They are all really, they don't have more or less opportunities. What I will say that is important that the activity of the SME really fits into the requirements of the topic text, meaning that if we are publishing a call for proposal covering a specific process from this type of biomass to that end product, then the SME has to provide any contribution to really apply for a specific call for proposal and to be eligible, let's say, or to be interesting for a certain topic. But we don't have really any advice to really give more opportunities from one type to another of SMEs. But I would say that also is very important for the new SMEs really to start doing a lot of networking, connecting, because our projects are collaborative projects. So we are not funding single SMEs or companies. We are funding a collaborative project where we have several partners from different countries. So these SMEs should connect with other beneficiaries that maybe they know better how it works and try to enter into the consortium. And this can be done in different ways. For example, I would encourage all these new SMEs to participate in Info Days, to connect with the Bio-Based Industries Consortium, which is the private partner of our partnership. And as I have already explained, they are driving the agenda, the research and innovation agenda. In CBE, we have also a platform that enable connection between different beneficiaries, potential beneficiaries to build consortium. So this networking is very important for the SMEs to enter into this big machine that is around the EU funding.
Excellent. And Sylvia, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, yes, thank you very much. Well, from cohesion policy, we are not a sectoral policy, we are a territorial policy. So it's a different angle, but it's pretty much building on what Antoine and Anna just said with regards to the collaborative projects. This is what I was trying to explain before in the added value of joining this or exploring potential partnership, because this is very difficult and this is a way to put sectors and people together. Also, on something that Antoine, you mentioned, position on one specific part of the value chain. This is pretty much in line of what is the smart specialization, which at the end of the day, we call it smart specialization, but this is our innovation strategies. So that is focused on what you are good at. And then in terms of funding with cohesion policy, I mean, we could finance a wide range of things, for example, including what you were saying before about the access to a capital. This is also very much not only eligible, but encouraged to go into financing instruments, for example. And for this period, as part of the negotiation process, we have to, I mean, as the regions, to justify why not to use, for example, venture capitals or loans. But then we go into another reality. And the other reality is that we are assuming that the capacities in the regions are perhaps strong enough. And this is not always the case. The reality in Europe is very diverse. And this is why we are supporting I mean, with more intensity, those member states and those regions which are lagging behind. And then a lot of money goes for infrastructure, for laboratories, for all these kind of capacities, and not only for the research projects as such. In terms of research projects, what we found is very similar to what Anna put on her slide in terms of TRL. So we are not financing basic research. This is legally excluded, but we are encouraging and financing to go in the higher TRL levels, then more with a focus to commercialization. So this is why we are mostly supporting the industry and the SMEs. That said, as I said, the reality is not perfect. And then exceptional circumstances, we also finance basic research. This is very duly justified because we need to help those regions which are still not there. We had recently an audit that actually was comparing Horizon and checking Horizon and ERDF in terms of innovation, and the conclusion is that it makes a difference in those regions which are lagging behind this support for the structural investments. So just to give a bit of an idea, I think that, I mean, Horizon is a bit in the Champions League now that we are in the football season, and we are helping those which are still not there.
Excellent.
And as I said, the kind of support can be very, very varied, and I invite you to make the most of it in these particular market niches that you, Antoine, were highlighting before.
Thank you so much for your contributions. I'm going to bring the panel session to a close, and we're going to go on to our last speaker. I do have one last question for Anna, but it's only a yes or a no answer. Is financing in Portugal possible for circular bio-based funding? And are French overseas countries and territories eligible for CBE funding?
So I did not understand the first question. It's about Portugal.
Can you get circular bio-based funding in Portugal?
Okay, yes.
Excellent. And are French overseas countries and territories eligible for CBE funding?
Yes, as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm going to move on now to our final speaker, Iwan Stefanic. He's the Program Manager for Food Chain Technologies and Novel and Sustainable Food at the European Council and the SME Agency. He's going to talk to us this morning about investing in SMEs to create new markets. Iwan, please take the floor.
Thank you. Just to confirm, do you hear and see me properly?
Yes.
Great. Let's click this famous button, share. Okay. I guess the administrator's supposed to...
You're good to go.
Allow screen sharing. Yes. Here we are. So for now, you're supposed to see presentation in...
And we can.
Presentation mode. It's still in designer's mode.
I think if you go to, there we are.
Yeah, it just took a moment. So it is great pleasure. I also deliver regards from Birgit Weidel, head of the Department C. She couldn't be today with us, but I have a couple of her slides, and I have some slides from colleagues from DG RTD. So my mission today is to inform you about specificity of EIC procedures in Accelerator, but also to inspire you. If you did not consider applying for Accelerator, I hope after this presentation you might. So, European Innovation Council. 10 things you should know about it. So first, yeah, we are not for all possible applicants with all ideas. We have strong focus on deep tech with disruptive effect on the market. We expect from our applicants to be really superior when it comes to technology, and they scale fast up. They grow extremely fast. So what does it mean, deep tech? It is technically radical innovation, but it could be also enough to have innovative step on existing technology. Be aware, check closely, is your research deep tech? It doesn't have disruptive capacity on the market. If yes, you are good to go. So our programs we have only 3 main programs: Pathfinder, low TRL levels, research institutions, single or consortia, grants only. You graduate, you are invited, qualified for transition. It is also a single or consortia application of research institution, grants only. And then game-changing moment. Research institutions cannot pursue anymore. They need single SME applicant, which could apply for blended financing, meaning grant plus equity in combination. But this is not all. We have smaller programs that keep those big wheels spinning fast and efficient. And we are continuously adding new support mechanisms for our beneficiaries. So this is what we do. One of the specificity of EIC is that we apply bottom-up and top-down approach simultaneously. And yes, we do pay special attention to food and agri-tech, and every year we have new challenges. So whenever you see new challenge in current work program, it would be valid only for that year. After this year expires, we will not collect proposals in this challenge anymore. We would collect proposals in different challenges. But then there is a life cycle of this challenge. We would implement those challenges in next couple of years, and eventually they would proceed down the road direction accelerate. So we do actually changing Europe one challenge at a time. So far, we had 36 challenges. And I would say, yeah, we've done quite good job covering really burning issues, relieving a lot of pain. And yeah, it is clear now, after 3 years running, consistency beats intensity, and compound effect is one of the secret recipes for success. It works. There are also wildcards. You might not be in challenge, but you might be in the field of critical technologies and particular interest of European Union. So you might get preferred position in your application. Consider critical technologies for EU, and biotechnology is there. Another innovation in European Innovation Council is support by program managers. We call that proactive portfolio management. And it is not only done by program managers, we do that with project officers and business acceleration service. And our role is very simple. You would still have project officers and financial officers, but program managers would help you cooperating with others and possibly helping you going even beyond your initial scope of application. Because when you work with the like-minded people with really cool solutions, it is easy to achieve synergies. So proactive portfolio management done by team of program managers. We still have some people going out after 4 years, some new people coming in. It is not only food and agri-tech, it is also about other relevant topic areas that could be helpful, and you might find yourself in the challenge of some other program manager. So what we do horizon scanning activities, preparing challenges, outreach events, evaluations, portfolio management, and hopefully by doing all this, we impact our sector according to strategic priorities of European Union. And of course, we cannot do that on our own. We need the best possible project applications, and I hope to get some of the applications from this event today. How it works in practice? This is my first portfolio. It is thematic portfolio, novel technologies for resilient food supply chain. As you see, we have purple-coded pathfinders, red-coded transitions, and black-coded accelerators. We support, as I said already, all along the innovation development path. And we already have projects successfully graduating from Pathfinder, entering the transition. And further, we also support people completing their ERC projects at the Pathfinder level. And it works well. some great success stories are already here when it comes to spectacular technology or amazing business development. This is how it works in Accelerator Challenge. This is not thematic, this is Accelerator first challenge in 23, Novel Technologies for Resilient Agriculture, with 5 specific objectives. And as you see, yeah, we did not get any proposals from sustainable fertilization, but we got some really relevant from open calls. And this is the great opportunity for open calls. If they are targeting specific objectives of existing challenges, they might be joining portfolio later. Why I'm telling this? Because insect project might be relevant for crop and livestock management, maybe fertilization, maybe soil management, some other things, even in crop protection. So although you cannot apply anymore for this challenge, if you are granted open proposal, you'll be most likely joined this portfolio. But let's talk about broader picture, state of the art of food supply technologies. So this is modern agriculture, and it is heavily resilient and troubled, using a lot of fossil fuels for mineral fertilizers and control chemicals. Whatever is not crop, which is usually monoculture crop grown on bare soil, we kill with industrial efficiency. And then we might end up with crops depleted from essential nutrients and contaminated with biological and chemical contaminants. And here is the chance. While soil-based food production need major overhaul, alternative proteins for food and feed might come from alternative sectors, alternative sources. Let's talk about challenges. This is matrix with fields to fix in agriculture. So to support soil-based food production, we have this challenge, I already discussed it. We have also precision nutrition challenge in 23 at the Pathfinder level. This year, we have food from precision fermentation and algae, and we have nature-inspired alternatives for packaging. And of course, all the time, as I said, we have simultaneous implementation of bottom-up and top-down, so open calls are still available. And there is a lot of going on. I have the impression we are living in a food supply revolution. Many alternative things to soil-based food production are happening. Those are plant-based, cellular meat, precision fermentation technologies, but also insect food. But we have to be aware that every generic competitor for alternative proteins has certain strengths, but also weaknesses. This is not mine, this is just literature review, and those are moments that every insect project is supposed to handle properly. How we do that? What we want. I think it's fair to say what we want. Let me share this slide with you. It is holistic approach and life cycle approach. We would not like to have projects with detrimental effect which would exceed the benefits of it. And we would like to foster EU technological autonomy and leadership. And it should be aligned with relevant initiatives like those. It is also quite okay to tell you what we don't want. And I would use one agriculture example. So it is usually considered, if you are working in Nobel Prize R&D lab, that should be really good. And it was. This chemical compound was synthesized in Nobel Prize lab. And then the other guy got actual Nobel for application in agriculture. And this compound got really successful. Dozens of brand names, thousands of tons produced. And guess what? A couple decades later, you have to figure out it wasn't so nice for environment and biodiversity. The story is the story of DDT. And although it is associated with 2 Nobel Prize labs, it still had detrimental effect. So be aware, apply life cycle approach and holistic approach while assessing sustainability of your proposal. The next story is even tougher. This guy was well appreciated and recognized innovator. And one-man environmental disaster in the same time. I'm not implying he'd done that on purpose. Let me tell you, his most important innovations, 2 of them, laddered gasoline and freon gas. Okay, it worked. But it took us as a humanity more than 3 decades and global effort to fix the ozone layer. And you know what? This is the only boundary that we successfully reversed. So there is a hope. But maybe it's easier not to exceed the planetary boundary in the first place. So if you think how to solve that, yeah, maybe AI and machine learning could help you in assessing future impact. Okay, the next slide is really important. I don't know, does it work in practice, but it is actually about unlearning things which are obsolete. And there are certain changes in our work programs from year to year, and you should unlearn those irrelevant data because submission deadlines are changing, number of cutoff dates is changing, even challenges are changed every year. So be aware, don't work on old templates, don't count with old submission deadlines, be accurate when it comes to important technical details. This is not agency slide, this is my slide. It will tell you why you should engage in this difficult and tough and competitive program. It is about 12 reasons. First one, and that comes from actual beneficiaries. It gave them better understanding of their own business, regardless of success in the application. Second one, look at this. You get state-of-the-art evaluation. And every feedback is a gift. So why is a gift? Because we are not rude and we give you opportunity to resubmit. So we allow you to learn from your mistakes. And let me compare EIC beneficiaries with Olympic medalists, especially gold ones. Yeah, those guys competing for gold medals, they are all brilliant, but they are not getting gold medal in every race. And they are getting their medals only after a considerable number of years preparing themselves for that. Don't be disappointed if you don't get grant from your first attempt. Endure, learn from your mistakes, and resubmit. You have 3 submissions altogether. Then there is a grant. Oh, that's so cool. And there are additional grants. Some people call them small, some don't. They are 50K, and you might get more than one to fix burning problems during the implementation of your program. And then there is equity financing. This is an amazing one, but be aware that equity financing also requires engagement of private capital, at least one-on-one. In practice, that goes 1-on-5. So you get 15 million from EIC, you have to find additional 15 at least from private sources. So companies engaging into accelerator applications have to be quite okay with external financing, receiving equity investment. Many people actually are not. So consider that before you apply. And then you get guidance and support by PMs. We have a lot of testimonials where this support was crucial. It works well, gives you visibility, promotion, and networking, increased credibility with possible investors. And actually that reverses the process. Usually when you are a startup, you are chasing investors. Once when you are positively evaluated by EIC, they are looking after you. So the process is the same, direction is different. And bear in mind, this is everything in that business. We also pay special attention to women innovators, opportunity to improve, but also if you don't get the grant and equity, there is a seal of excellence that could lead to some national schemes and eligibility for EIC service catalogs post-grant care and fast-track procedure for other national or European programs. I hope you find those 12 reasons significant enough to engage. I also, especially for this event, went further. It is not only EIC offering opportunities to get financing, but you get other speakers talking about bioeconomy action plan. There are other services, even some provided by other departments. It is Interregional Innovation Investment, I3 instrument. I will not talk much about that. We already mentioned critical technologies, but there is also thematic priorities like green transition. You might get some wildcards there. And then there is single market program, also available, powerful. You might use it. And we are implementing a couple of those. And then don't forget Enterprise Europe Network. It is not financial support, but could solve you some problems when you need cooperation or technology transfer or business or even research cooperation. Okay, if you counted well, we were at 8 reasons, 8 things to know about EIC. This one is number 9. So it is your call. We are here to help you, and I will tell you how we help you. Program managers work with beneficiaries. At the application stage, you work with your NCPs, you communicate with them. So reach out for your NCP, learn whatever is necessary, whatever is missing, and make decision. Yeah, preferably today. And then, this is not just a beautiful picture, it is the most important one. So enjoy the ride. Don't take anything personal. It is business. It is mission. Enjoy. And thank you for your attention. And I think we are just about to have question and answer session. Let me stop sharing, clear the screen. Yes.
Thank you, Owen. Very much appreciated and very interesting to have your insight into what's happening at the European Innovation Council. I think you mentioned the importance of talking to the NCPs and ensuring that they are who companies contact, not yourself.
Yes.
Okay, that's excellent.
But look at this. They got special training. If they cannot answer the question goes to me via NCPs. I answer to NCPs, they get back to you, and you have the information. But it is a proper circulation of information. And even before you go to next question, the point is, one of most important decisions you are making is challenge application or open application. We know there are no insect-related challenges right now. But that doesn't mean you are in disadvantaged position. Apply for open, and then if you meet some of the specific objectives of existing challenges, you might end up working with a portfolio of projects with similar goals and possibly synergizing effect. This is something I wouldn't miss. If possible, you should go for that.
Excellent. Now, I have one quick technical question, which is it necessary to have been granted on a Pathfinder project before getting onto the accelerator program?
No. Look at this. If you successfully concluded Pathfinder, this is actually proof that you have deep tech research. But also, in my thematic portfolio, there were 2 icons on ERC. ERC projects are also finest quality applications and projects. They are welcome to apply. Horizon Pillar 2 projects are welcome to apply. Even your own research, if it has really high-tech radical innovation dimension, is welcome to apply. So we do not insist supporting Pathfinders only.
Wonderful. Now, we're going to have to draw this to a close fairly shortly because we're coming towards the end of our time. But I'd be really interested in getting your gut feeling. Are insect producers well positioned to obtain finance through the European Innovation Council?
Okay, it might get to your surprise, but we already have some insect projects as beneficiaries, even at the Pathfinder. So take those examples as an inspiration. It is not out of reach, actually. It is actually quite challenging. I don't know, a couple decades back, some could consider that science fiction, but no. Radical innovation appeared in a different form. So insects are present in our portfolio of projects, and they are doing just well.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really do appreciate it. I wanted to thank all of our speakers for taking part today. Sylvia, Anna, Antoine, and Iwan. There will be a recording available next week, which will be available on the website. I wanted to thank both of our sponsors, Tebrio and Nasecomo, for their support of today's event. I've certainly found it really interesting. I hope that everyone attending has done so as well. And don't forget, if you have any questions, do please reach out to the Secretariat. I would like to do my final introduction, which is Frank van Sluis, the General Counsel at Protex, and also IPIFF's first Vice President, who is going to provide closing remarks for today's event. Frank?
I'm here, yes. My video doesn't start. Here I am. Thank you Felicia, thank you. Yes, thank you very much. As we come to the closure of the webinar, I would really like to thank you all for your participation, engagement, and enthusiasm throughout the session. It was a webinar full of stimulating discussions, innovative ideas, and insightful presentations that have really highlighted the great progress and true potential of the insect sector in Europe and beyond. I would really like to thank you, Felicia Jackson, for moderating, and our distinguished speakers, Sylvia Santos, Ana Ruiz, Antoine Hubert, and Ivan Stefanic for their valuable contributions. Your expertise and dedication to advancing the insect sector are really inspiring, and you have truly enriched our understanding and perspective. The contribution of the insect sector to the EU's industrial environment and innovation policies is undeniable. As was clearly shared also by Antoine, but it can be strengthened with a greater acknowledgement of our insect sector in the respective policies and regulations. We have learned today about success stories of the funding provided to insect companies, which the EU must build upon to progressively make the funding available to insect SMEs tailored to its needs and specificities. I would also like to wholeheartedly thank our sponsors, Nasecomo and Tebrio, and our partners, the Insect Academy and Intersect. As we move forward, it's crucial that we continue to build on the momentum that was generated today. Let's take the insights and connections we've gained and translate them into concrete actions and collaborations. The challenges we face are significant, as was also clearly shared by Antoine, but so are the opportunities. Together, we can drive the insect sector to new heights, contributing to a more sustainable, resilient, and innovative food system. Thank you once again for being part of the IPIFF webinar. Your presence and participation have made this event really special, and I look forward to seeing the continued growth and success of the insect sector and to meet many of you again in future events. Thank you very much, everyone, and wishing you a great day. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.